Welcome back. This is the final part 3 of how to make a galaxy cake. And in this one, we're going to do the super fun bit. We're going to make the classic rolled fondant that makes this cake so beautiful. So this section, you are going to need some specialty equipment and specialty cake supplies. You can find these either online or probably at your local Michael's or independent craft store, any store that has a specialty cake section. Wilton, of course, is the most popular brand, but there are plenty of other brands out there that are available, so choose what you like. For the classic rolled fondant, we're going to need 8 cups of powdered sugar, or about 2 pounds. You'll also need 2 tablespoons of white vegetable shortening. You'll need a little bit more for your spoon and to grease up your hands to work with the fondant as well. So 2 tablespoons for the recipe plus a little extra. Half a cup of light corn syrup. 1 tablespoon of plain gelatin powder. 3 tablespoons or so of water. And you'll need 1 tablespoon of glycerin. Wilton makes a glycerin specifically for cake baking. I found mine at my local Michael's store. You can find it online at Amazon as well. We're also going to need some specialty decorating equipment, of course, and for this I'm going to be using gel paste food coloring. You can use liquid food coloring like what you get in the grocery store, but it will water down your fondant and you'll have to compensate with extra powdered sugar so that it doesn't get too sticky, because you're going to need a lot of liquid food coloring to get any of the real vibrant colors you can achieve with the gel paste food coloring. So I highly recommend, if you're going to go down this route and make some specialty cakes, that you invest in some of these gel paste food coloring. Of course, I'm using Wilton because that's what's locally available, but there are other brands that you can buy. So I'm going to be using black, turquoise, royal blue, violet, and a no-taste red. There's also a Wilton spray paint that's silver. It's called Color Mist, and it's edible. It's designed to be used with cakes. So I'm going to use the silver Wilton Color Mist, as well as some luster dust, which is basically edible cake glitter. I'm using a pearlescent white luster dust and a gold luster dust. I happen to have some gold and silver sprinkles in my cupboard that I thought I'd throw in there just in case I want some extra blingy stars on my cake. And of course, you'll need some hardware for decorating as well, and that includes your rolling pin and a couple of cheap paint brushes. So I'm going to start by putting 8 cups of powdered sugar in my bowl and making a well in the center. Now I want to sprinkle my tablespoon of gelatin over my 3 tablespoons of water in a glass measuring cup. Give the gelatin just a couple minutes to dissolve and it'll start to congeal. And then we're going to use another double boiler method. So take a small saucepan, fill it up with water, turn the stovetop onto high, boil the water in your saucepan, and put your measuring cup right in the water. While I'm waiting on that to boil, I'm going to go ahead and measure out my half cup of light corn syrup, and I'm going to get my tablespoon of glycerin ready. Once all of the gelatin has dissolved in your little double boiler there, you can add the glycerin and stir to combine, and then add your corn syrup. Now this process is going to take a while, but now we need to add the fat. So we're going to add 2 tablespoons of shortening to our gelatin glycerin corn syrup mixture. And now you just want to stir and stir and stir and slowly dissolve all of that fat into the mixture. Count on at least 10 minutes to make that happen in your double boiler. Now it's just about time to add our goopy, hot, gelatiny mixture over to our powdered sugar, but first we want to grease up the spoon and grease up our hands. Pour the hot mixture right into the middle of the powdered sugar, and use your greased spoon to start to incorporate the powdered sugar into that liquid. This is also going to take a while, and unless you want powdered sugar everywhere, you can just go kind of slow. Once you start to get it all incorporated enough that you feel like you can start to knead it together, get a little bit of grease on your hands, and just like bread, get right on in there. Once it gets sticky and stuck together and starts to form a ball, you can roll it out onto a clean table surface and start to knead it just like you would bread. And you'll find that all the sugar will start to come together and all the liquid will get incorporated, and you'll end up with this sugary Play-Doh. You want it to be soft and moldable to the touch, not sticky, but you don't want it to be too hard to roll out. So as you can see, I have about an extra cup of flour that did not get incorporated. Humidity will play a difference in how much flour you can get in there. Then just wrap it up in some saran wrap, throw it in your fridge, let it sit on the counter, let it rest for about a half an hour. In the meantime, we're gonna put our cake together. So to put my cake together, I don't have a Lazy Susan or any fancy equipment. I'm just gonna use a bowl, a cardboard plate, a serrated knife, and my 3 cake rounds. So to get started, flip the bowl upside down and put your cake round on there. I'm gonna dab just a little bit of buttercream to help keep that bottom layer stuck down and in place. And then it's time to take all of my layers out of the pan. Now this cake bakes up really evenly, so I don't even have to level the cake. It's just about level as it is. However, if you do have kind of a rise bump in the middle, you want to shave it down just so that everything's pretty even. Now I was originally going to put buttercream in between these layers, but I had a ton of homemade caramel sauce to use up, so on a whim, I decided to put pure caramel sauce in between these layers. Not even frosting, it's just caramel sauce. Now I'm just going to carve off a couple of these edges. I've had these rounds in the refrigerator for about 12 hours so that they can easily take a little bit of carving. And now I have a dome shape. I'm gonna take that buttercream and just start icing that all around. You can put a crumb coat on and go back and add more if you like. This buttercream is super savory and just so delicious, and so I put a nice thick coat on there all the way around. The more even you get it, the better your fondant layer is gonna be. And with another bowl turned upside down in my fridge, I just stuck that right on the shelf, and I'm gonna let that chill while we get all of our colors together for the fondant. All right, time for the rolling pin action. But first, of course, we have to make some pretty colors. We have this beautiful bright white fondant, and if we were making a wedding cake, that might be lovely, but we're not. We want cake that is dark, dark like the black vacuum of the galaxy. So we got a lot of color to get in this fondant. Using a toothpick, scoop out a little bit of gel paste, get your hands nice and greasy, and just get in there and knead it all together. So this is gonna take a while to get the color even, but I'm gonna do a little bit of pink. So using my No Taste Red, I'm gonna do a light pink. I'm gonna do purple, a little bit of turquoise, a little bit of royal blue. When you look at all those pictures of the gaseous clouds in the galaxy, they've got orange and red and purple and blue. It's just gorgeous. So think of any colors that you want to use. Be creative with this piece. This is the exciting piece, right? Of course, the biggest piece I want is going to be jet black. So now that I have all of my colors incorporated, I've got my pink, my purple, my white, my turquoise, my blue, my black. I want to make long coils. So just like when you went to 3rd grade art class and made coil pots out of clay, that's basically what I'm gonna do here. I got a greased surface, got greased hands, and I'm gonna roll out various logs of color. So I have turquoise, I have a dark blue log I'm gonna add to that. I'm gonna put my purple in a couple spots. I don't necessarily think I want it all over the place, right? Just a few bits here and there, a little bit smaller on the pink. Basically, I'm trying to think about what I might imagine the Milky Way. Think about a gaseous cloud going through all of that black. How much of each color is in there? And once I have all those coils put together, I'm gonna roll it into a big mat, and I'm gonna start smushing it together. Of course, I don't want to incorporate it enough that I lose all of the colors and that everything turns into a muddy mess. But I do want to work with it hardy enough, and I want to rip it up and kind of fold it back together until I get some of those Milky Way patterns in the colors. So once I've ripped it up a few times and I kind of have an idea of where those colors are, those coils of color, now I'm gonna roll it out and just use my fingers to like spread it, mark it, rip it up, try to get some extra marbling effect in there. Ultimately, the goal we're going for with the fondant piece is gonna be a really dark black background with some bright pops of color that look marbled and erratic and gaseous. Now with the white, we know we have some of those really white hot spots. And so I don't necessarily want that rolled in with the coils, but I can go back afterwards and I can kind of smush these little pieces of white in strategically, the hottest pieces of these gas clouds. Now, if you really want to take your time with this, you can use a little bit of water to make sure that you get all the cracks out of your fondant. You can smush it all together and really smooth it out. I'm going fairly quickly on this. If your fondant gets a little bit too greasy from the shortening, you can use powdered sugar just like you might flour and bread. So sprinkle a little powdered sugar on the counter, sprinkle a little bit on your fondant, and continue to roll. Once you get the pattern and the swirls that you're looking for in that black fondant, go ahead and pull your cake out of the fridge. We're gonna set it up just like on that poor man's Lazy Susan. Turn your bowl upside down, put your cake on top of it. And now we gotta pick this fondant up and put it over the top and smooth it over our buttercream. Smooth the fondant down over your chocolate buttercream, trim away the excess, get it nice and even and smooth. Now it's time for the finishing touches. So for this, you'll need a little extra plate or surface that you can put your spray paint on. Use that Wilton's Color Mist Silver Spray Paint, put it on the plate, pick it up with a paintbrush, and splatter paint it onto your cake for just thousands of little tiny stars. Now this is gonna take a while, and if you get an extra long splatter, don't worry about it. It's just another planet in another galaxy far, far away. So now use your luster dust. I'm taking pearlescent and a gold color, and I'm just gonna go around all those gaseous clouds, all those ribbons of color that I have in that black fondant, and I'm gonna add a little bit of a sheen, a little bit of reflection to them, and really help them pop. So there you have it. It takes about 12 hours to make this cake, including chill time in the fridge. And I promise you it will be a hit at any party. It's perfect for a Doctor Who lover, for Star Trek fans. It's a really, really gorgeous cake and delicious to boot. So thanks for watching. This is Erica with Griffin Street Productions, and stay tuned for more tutorial videos in the future.